Hello students, and welcome to Lesson 2 of Auditing Part 3. This lesson covers Chapter 3, which runs pages 11 through 16, and Chapter 4, which runs pages 17 to 26. Chapter 3 is titled Reporting on an Entity's Internal Control over Financial Reporting. And the material is outlined as follows: A, B, C, and D parts. Part A is the background. Part B talks about conditions to be met before an internal control examination may be performed. Part C reports on the procedures to be taken for an internal control exam. And finally, Part D shows how to report. Let's take them in order here. Part A discusses the reasons for conducting an examination of internal controls. Central to this discussion is the nature of the entity to be examined. If it is a public corporation, it is called an issuer. If it is a non-public corporation, it is called a non-issuer. Public referring to the availability of the stock on the open market. Issuers are governed by the PCAOB under standard number 5. Non-issuers are measured against criteria issued by the AICPA. We note that issues of internal control are not normally or usually covered during a financial audit unless there are material weaknesses uncovered during the course of that audit. However, an auditor may be hired to perform an examination of a non-issuer's internal control. This examination should be integrated with the audit of financial records if such is being conducted. Otherwise, it can stand on its own and be a sole engagement. Page 11 presents two sets of criteria from the two authorities as they apply to issuers and non-issuers. This is in table form behind the bullet point on the margin of the text. Please examine it carefully. We'll discuss it in class. Page 12 presents a bulleted table of the differences between financial statements audit and the examination of internal controls based on 5 subject areas. First of all, subject matter. Second, written assertion, measured against, performance standards, and assurance. Note that the assertion comes from management, not from the auditors, even though they are the ones doing the examination. Failure of management to report should result in withdrawal from such an engagement. Part B includes 3 conditions. Number 1, management accepts responsibility for the effectiveness of controls. This should be in writing, by the way. Part 2, or condition 2, management employs suitable criteria and provides written assertion of their effectiveness. And finally, Condition 3, sufficient evidence of effectiveness exists or can be developed. Failure to meet these conditions should result in a withdrawal from the engagement. Part C, procedures, covers 4 subjects. Number 1, planning and in planning the engagement. Number 2, obtaining understanding of internal controls. Part 3, evaluating the effectiveness of those controls. And Part 4, forming an opinion of management's fairness in its assertion. Page 14 follows up with a number of issues involving the integration of the 2 examinations, that is, the final financial reports and the internal controls. Requirements of communicating the results of control deficiencies pertaining to issuers and non-issuers are displayed in table format on this page, page 14. Finally, we reach Part D, which includes a sample letter on page 15. These letters can take any form as long as they include the basic elements, and this letter is included just as an example. Need not follow it exactly. Page 16 concludes with a number of changes and modifications that may be called for in the final report and the reasons for such. Chapter 4 we'll cover very briefly here. It discusses the integration of the two reports, that is, the financial audit and the internal control effectiveness reporting. It is comprised of 4 parts. Part A, the background. Part B, various deficiencies. Part C, management responsibility. And Part D, auditor responsibility. The text goes into considerable detail that we will discuss in class rather than on this video. The final 2 pages of Chapter 4 are a list of responses to questions about the material. Unfortunately, the questions themselves are not included, although they can be deduced in most cases. We'll cover this material in class. Yeah, I know it's a little strenuous, but we will be able, I'm sure, to finish everything during our session coming this Monday night. Thank you very much for listening. See you soon.